Been using the Holland Anvil for a while now, and I'm going to give you my honest review about the product and my further dealings with the company. First, I want to play that walk around clip, and as we get to certain points, we're going to pause the clip and talk about what you just saw and then continue on around. And right away, casting bubbles at the end of the square horn here. Now, you could already tell somebody had an angle grinder to this portion, probably cutting off a sprue or something. But it would took 10 seconds or less with that same angle grinder they already had in their hand to clean this up and make it look professional. Now, do these affect function? No, they don't. But it is lazy craftsmanship. And as you'll see, a indicator of things to come. Okay, the horn here. Now, I don't know if you can tell from that video or not, but I've had to touch up this horn a bit because it was kind of, they took a flat pass here and a flat pass here, a flat pass here. It's kind of rhombozoid, not completely round. So I had to round up, the last 1.5 inches of this horn to my liking. And I don't know if you can see right here, we also have porosity there on the horn. And now this section here, you see it's all shiny compared to the rest of the as-cast surface of the anvil. There's a bunch of weird kind of welding tack looking things. That's what I am almost positive these are, is there were really deep pits or gouges in here, and so they tack welded them and then ground it over. Here we go, here's the bumpiness I fixed in the horn. Now, I haven't completely taken it out and flat, but I've got it well enough. And it was like that about right here on this side of the horn too. And there's gentle waves in this. Okay, the hardy hole. It is clear now. After I had to forge a special chisel to get most of the flashing off. And then I had to make a broach and pound it through here. And then I spent 1.5 hours with sandpaper and files to, it was still a little tight after the broach. So I spent 1.5 hours slicking it up. So a 1-inch square bar will just drop through the 1-inch hardy hole. More on this hardy hole and how they insulted me about it later. Pritchel hole. I did get the Pritchel hole drilled all the way through. If you were to ask Holland Anvil how best to drill through one of their anvils, they will tell you they don't recommend it, and many machinists across the country wouldn't recommend it. And I know why. Just like there's porosity here and back there, I hit several pockets of porosity drilling through, about 6 inches here at the base of the horn. And every time I hit a pocket of porosity, it would snap my carbide bits. Yeah, I want y'all to watch me clean out this pritchel hole so that way people will say that, can't say that I didn't do it. Okay, now some of that is just drill bit chatter, but you can see right there, there's some porosity. That's just drill bit chatter. But that, see, it looks like that third ring down, that's a big pocket of porosity. And if I get down in there, you can really see that last ring there. That's a big old pocket of porosity all the way around. And then there's some more there towards the bottom. There you go, you can see some more right there at the bottom. Now, I got a hold of Holland Anvil, or more accurately, they got a hold of me telling me to get a hold of them. And it all started with a Facebook post. Somebody new asked about anvils, and I said, usually I would have said Holland Anvil, but due to my recent dealings with them, in reference to not being told when this thing shipped, and how I received it, which I called unusable, because with this hardy hole plugged up, this thing was no more usable than this bolt here. I could have drove this into a stump and it'd been just as useful as this thing is. Only thing is, this is bigger. But yeah, I said I didn't have good dealings with them so far. I wasn't impressed with the lazy quality of my anvil, and I said I haven't contacted them yet because I'm still so mad about it. I can't write anything fair and honest. Well, somebody tagged the owner and he said, "Oh, message our website so that way we can talk it out and make things right." Everyone always says, yeah, they go the extra mile in customer service. Well, they sure didn't with me. He was so upset that I trashed his good name on Facebook that he had no intentions of helping me from the get-go. Now, during my talks with him, he did apologize for the flashing in the hardy hole. Said, yeah, it's supposed to be taken care of here, and every once in a while, one slips through. But he didn't offer to make it right. I mean, they charged me for labor on this anvil that never happened to it. So he didn't offer to reimburse me anything, send me anything. And another thing was, I kept saying I expected more of an American company, and I said, everyone you buy from, they throw in something free, like a t-shirt or a sticker or coupons or something like that, you know, to make you a returning customer. And he heard t-shirt, he got hung up on t-shirt. He's like, oh, we're not a clothing company. I've never given away a t-shirt that wasn't asked for, and I have a couple friends that have Holland Anvils, so I asked them, were any of you expecting a t-shirt with your anvils? And they said no, but they got one. So I took a screenshot of that and blanked out names, and I sent it to them, said, well, you're lying. And then they went on to insult me, saying a 1-inch hardy hole will not fit a 1-inch bar. And he's surprised. I'm the first he's heard of that didn't was surprised about that. He said, working for a construction company, I'd have thought you'd known about clearances. Us here in the blacksmith circle certainly do. I took offense to that. I told 1 inch is 1 inch. 1 inch fits in 1 inch no matter which way you slice the pie. Because in a perfect world, a 1 inch bar will fit in a 1 inch hole with 0 thousandths clearance. Now, it don't take much to make clearance either. And as you saw me do earlier, a 1 inch bar will indeed drop through a 1 inch hole. Now, if what they say is true and 1 inch is supposed to fit in 1 inch, well, that sure seems like a faulty design flaw. Yeah, a design flaw on their part. When's the last time you've seen a 15/16 square bar? I have. You probably haven't. So why would they make an odd size like that? Why wouldn't they make it 1 inch and a 16th or 1 inch and an 1/8? So it would fit a common 1 inch square bar. Now, my day job requires me to be a welder, a fabricator, and a machinist on the fly. And that takes us to the Pritchell hole. They got so mad I drew a Pritchell hole in this anvil. And he said, out of the 13 models we make, you pick the one model that doesn't have a Pritchell hole. We would have taken it back on my dime, and then I would have had to pay more for them to send me another one. But we would have taken it back and exchanged it for something else, but now that you drill a Pritchell hole in it, we can't. Or no, now that you drilled in it, we can't. Well, again, I know why they don't want you to drill in here, is because they don't want you to discover how porous these things are. And he insulted me, again, by saying, many machinists around the country would advise against drilling this material. It's not hard. All you need is the right bits. Tungsten carbide drilled through this thing easy. All you had to do was keep it lubricated and go slow until you hit a damn porosity pocket and it snapped the edges off your carbide. Or you could just buy diamond tip stuff and really not have to worry about anything. I figured tungsten carbide would be the cheaper route to go over diamond, but it's cheaper to buy expensive, and I should have followed my own advice and bought the diamond from the get-go so I wouldn't have to worry about snapping the carbide on about $180 worth of bits. Now I piloted it 5/16 and then opened it up to 1/2 inch. And it was mostly the 5/16 bits that I ended up breaking. I only broke 2 1/2 inch bits. Some other stuff they had issues with was in my Facebook post I said I had about half my messages answered, and they came back saying, well, the only thing we have on file for you is 2 emails asking about the 260 pounder and if we could make you a custom anvil. And then they were like, oh, it's out of the question, we'd have to do this and that and that. It was a simple question. Hey, could you make a custom anvil? This is what I'm thinking. Is this possible? To which they replied, no. And then they listed the same couple of reasons. We'd have to make a new mold, this, that, and the other. But anyway, that was the email. I sent them an email, and those were at midnight, because I knew that they have a little messenger on the website. I knew who was going to be manning that messenger at midnight, so that's why I sent them those emails. That's why those are the only emails or messages they have on file for me, is because it has my email address attached to it. That little messenger on the site doesn't. They don't know who that is. That's where I mainly ask my questions during business hours. But yeah, out of the 8 or so messages I sent them, about 4 were answered, and that includes the emails. And they were all huffy and puffy about that. Like, oh, you should have sent us an email with that type of question instead of through the messenger on the site so we know who you are. Sorry for all these kind of ranty tangents. I'm having to go back on my phone and check their emails, so that way I can tell you verbatim what they said. But speaking of those 260-pound anvils, I was gonna buy one, but somebody got their stimulus ahead of me and bought the last one, said out of stock. So I messaged him, hey, when are you gonna have more of these? And he said, oh, we got some fresh out of cast, they're going to the grinder, they'll be done this week. As of when I posted that original Holland Anvil video, they're still listed out of stock. And as of when this video posts, I just checked, they're still listed out of stock. And he told me that those were all sold before they ever got listed. What? He said, I didn't know you wanted one, otherwise I'd have held one back for you. Okay, I wasn't aware that's how your business works. You keep a running tally of who wants what instead of posting on the site and just letting people have at it. Okay? And they called me a liar too, I forgot about that. When this thing arrived, it had the plastic protectors, the one metal banding, and it was around, I told him one, but I went back and looked. It was around two pallet boards, 2 3/8 by 2 pallet boards. But still, this thing is super top heavy, and I guess it was enough to hold it down, but I was adamant that he packed it wrong, and still from what he was saying, it's different than what he was saying too. But I went and I looked at the pallet, and you can see where the banding was. It wasn't how I said, and it wasn't how he said, so we were both wrong on that. But he straight up called me a liar, refused to believe me, and tried to throw insult in there. Well, I'd believe you if we hadn't done it the same way every day since before I was born. Well, even though I'm wrong, you're still wrong too, bucko. Anyway, and then I got tired of dealing with the son insulting me, and every time he insulted me, he tried to do it in a nice way, a polite way, which makes me even madder, because that's them trying to talk down on you. Oh, you're so much dumber than me. I hate that kind of stuff. So I messaged the owner of the company, the one who originally told me to message them, on Facebook. So I sent him screenshots of both sides of the conversation saying, your son insulted me, I don't appreciate that, and I said I wanted to talk to you in the first place anyway, not your son, so are we gonna talk? And he just told me, we don't give away free t-shirts. He's still hung up on t-shirts. We don't give away free t-shirts. I don't want to ever hear from you again. Have a great day, sir. And so that's that. Been using this for a few weeks now, and even though it's got porosity in it, still rebounds great. It heats up really fast, actually. I was quite surprised at that. I ran 3 forge welding heats on some cable, and it had a nice radiant zone of heat, just like that. And after doing some really intensive forge welding, the heat never really goes past this point here. Like the horns, they stay cool, which is real nice, because when I go to bend and pick up something, I inevitably hit the anvil, and with my Trenton, that heel would get so damn hot, I'd actually have burn lines on my arm. So that's nice. The edges, after talking to Holland Anvil, he said yes, they are designed. They are tempered soft enough to clean up the edges with a file, but hard enough to where once you get down to actually some meat, it gets hard to file them. Yeah, that's exactly what I encountered. But other than that, I missed one hammer blow the other day, and there's really no marks to speak of in it. But I was coming down with some force, and that thing had 200% rebound. I almost took a straight peen to the face. Honest review of my Holland Anvil and my dealings with Holland Anvil.